Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks so much for being here, for everyone watching. And hello, Mario. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel so honored to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, man, how are you?
Absolutely. So, we always start off at the beginning about how people get into magic and that sort of stuff. But with you, it's interesting. And I'd like to ask how you got into robotics and that side of things, because I think it's very different in the magic world.
Yeah, I'm just obsessed with automatons, you know. And the first time I heard the history of magic, I got into magic in my early 20s, and the idea of having an object where it does something and you're not touching it is a very powerful idea to me, where like I can walk away from the table and then it's moving or it's doing something, you know? So that fascination was how the ball started rolling with Robert Houdin and magicians like that, creating these robotic elements, you know, that create magic, you know? But anyway, it's, you know, I got into magic and the robots were separate for a long time. It took years until I integrated them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's like a throwback to the old time, as you're saying, the Robert Houdins and all the classic magics, and even like the orange tree and that sort of illusions. Yeah. And then, but adding in the like kids mix to it and like having like faces and eyes and all that sort of stuff, it really is like a TV kid show come to the stage. Is the only way I can think of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I grew up in an area where, you know, skateboarding was very important. Punk rock music was very important. It got me through my teen years. So it's a very childlike thing that I brought into my adult life where, you know, it's like that whole spirit of never growing up, you know. So I'm kind of like a natural kids performer before even I was a performer. It's just, I'm kind of like that rebellious punk rock, just like Dan Sperry. You guys had Dan Sperry on here, you know. It's just that kind of rebellious, fun attitude. And then the big takeaway for me really is showcasing how everything works, like exposing all the electronics, explaining to kids about coding and how to get into 3D printing. You know, this stuff is very important. There's one guy. There he is. He's saying,
that's so true. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool the way that you kind of brought exactly. You mean so many performers kind of start up. They think they have to be, you know, Copperfield or David Blaine or whatever, but you were very much unique to you. And I think people who kind of like can push the art of magic forward are people who are kind of true to themselves, like an artist, you know? Yeah,
that's really well said. Yeah. I mean, for me, like I said, ever since my teenage years, like being me is what's most important, you know? So like, so having this like image of one of my custom robots on my shirt, having this robot next to me, it builds my confidence. I feel at home, you know? And when I feel at home, I perform stronger, you know? So I always talk about that in my lectures, like, who are you and why are you here? If you can define those things before you perform, it can create a lot of powerful moments in your show, you know? So for me, it's surrounding myself for my love of art and speaking about artists that I admire during my show really makes me feel like at least I'm hopefully educating and inspiring kids so that they go home and make ridiculous machines like me, you know?
It's definitely unique, man. You know, there's no way that people are going to be doing the same thing. You know, in the virtual world now, everyone seems to be performing the same stuff, and you know, it's kind of a repetition thing. But people like Robert Houdin, you mentioned, I mean, everyone didn't have an orange tree at that time, and it became a very solid piece of his repertoire.
Yeah, totally. And like, and it's a struggle because I can't do all robots in my show. And so I'm paying attention like all the other magicians too. Like what is working really strong on Zoom right now? So I have like Dan Harlan's Vortex. I have like the Matrix card here. So in case I start losing the audience with my robots and education, I can swing to visual, you know. So it's a balancing act, you know, just like any other performance, you know, the goal is to maintain interest and inspire. And you guys know that. You guys do that all the time. So, you know.
You've mentioned educate a lot when you're talking about the show, and how do you find the balance between just doing tricks to entertain versus educate? Do you find the balance that difficult, or lean one way or the other?
Yeah, I mean, I had a series of a couple rough shows, maybe like 8-10 years ago, and it was a turning point for me because everything I was doing was just store-bought stuff, not understanding the core principles of magic, not understanding that getting into magic is like playing a musical instrument. You learn the verse, you learn the chorus, and then you write your own song, you know? So like, that's the goal here. So once we learn those core principles, man, then you can use your imagination and then start rocking like original stuff, you know? So everything in my show looks crazy, but honestly, these are all built on core principles of magic and ventriloquism, you know? So I'm masking it. It looks crazy, but actually the bits are there. Hippity hop rabbits, stratosphere. These things that we're familiar with are built into the structures here in a way that I feel confident in and that I admire and love, you know?
Cool. It seems to be like just as strong, you know, the science of it is just as strong as the magic, you know. There seems to be like a perfect balance there of both. It's cool, man.
Yeah, and that's the struggle every show, you know, and Steve, you know, too, like you take your notes, you watch the audience, you're like, how do I sharpen this? How do I rock this better? And especially the past 10 months, like it's night and day, like learning virtual stuff, right? It's like, it's like we're all like in a cocoon, like learning to explode again and become butterflies, you know, like, so it's been a fun year figuring out like rebuilding my robots for this this format, you know.
Definitely. And when you were performing, a lot of magicians go with the kids style and then start off with kids shows and then might move on. Have you explored other areas, or was once you started performing for kids, you're like, this is the right area?
Yeah, that's a great question, David. So like when I first got into magic, I was 22. I went to a magic club. Kids magic is looked down upon, you know, in our industry all the time. It's an undervalued thing. It's something that's a stepping stone to most magicians. And I fell in that trap too. Like I wanted to be like Copperfield, David Blaine early on. I tried to do my best in front of an all-adult audience and I sucked, you know, like I bombed like every show. And then I'm like, getting mad at myself for 2 years. Like, why do I love this art form so much? And why am I not connecting, you know? And I had to surrender. The audience creates the performer, you know? And there's a surrender there that you have to do, you know? And and I had to, it was a hard choice, you know, but that year that I made that choice, that was the first year I paid my rent doing what I love, you know. That was the first year I started singing my own song, you know, like learning how to incorporate everything I love into my show. But I had to surrender what I thought I wanted. But actually there was something bigger there that I had, you know. Sometimes we get trapped, we get like this hyper-focused thing, and we got to be flexible with the details of our dreams, you know. We got to be flexible with them, you know.
You definitely become an artist when you really kind of, you know, surrender to that and really be who you are. You know what I mean? There's no point if it's not who you are, you'll never be a good, you know, replica of something else. You have to be true to yourself. And I think you see that with artists, and especially the people we've had on the podcast, they're all people in the top of their field. And I mean, they've all said the same thing, that when they kind of realized who they were and they put a bit of like other sides of art into their magic, then they became who they really are.
Yeah, 100%, Steve. And like, you know this too. Like you never judge a performer by one show, you know, because the audience is always different. You always have to restructure and be flexible. And that's something else I had to learn after I found what my purpose was realizing like, that's just the beginning, man. You know, like, so now it's like I'm totally growing again. Like I feel like I'm 22 again, like learning Zoom, learning how flexible can we be. So it is definitely like a continual thing, you know. But I don't know if you ever saw the movie Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's on Netflix. It's about someone who has a sushi restaurant in Japan, and he's like 85, and he still has happiness every morning making the same sushi, you know. Like I love that, you know, and that's the goal. Like that I grow old in this, and that the joy continues, you know.
Yeah, I think Copperfield is one of those names that really stands out for that. You know, he can do the same show repeatedly for 20 plus years, and it's still he still wants to get up in the morning and do it, you know, regardless.
Yeah, 100%. Mac King too, you know, like these guys. Yeah, it's true. So that's where I'm at now. You guys want to see what I'm working on right now?
100%.
This is not magic. I don't even know if it's gonna work. But let me just try this out. I'm building this is great. This is live, right? So this is gonna be fun. All right, so let's see.
Yeah.
Let me see if this works. Let me see if I can check it out. It's uh-oh. Let me see. Give me a second. There we go. Uh-oh. Give me 1 sec here. It's a live show, but I want to show 1 second here. It's worth the wait if it works. There it is. This is actually a robot that climbs on a rope. It's a rope climbing robot. So this is going to be something I'm going to use in my Zoom shows. But it's all 3D printed. You know, it's all. I spent a week just trying to get the measurements right so I could hang on the string and so that the movements works with the with this whole circle here with the disc. And and finding the balance where to put this hook, you know, it's a lot of problem solving. But now that it's done, you know, now I can start having fun. Like, maybe there's a prediction that, like, you know, goes across the screen. I don't know yet, you know. But utilizing,
just when I saw it coming in there, you know, the old-fashioned applause card, that'd be awesome. You know.
Yes, exactly. something like that, where the audience reads it, they know how to react, and I'm like confused, like, what? How do you guys know to applaud here? You know, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to figure out. But anyway, that's the goal, man. You know, like I saw a YouTube video of someone making one of these, and I was like, damn, there's something here with Zoom and this robot and magic that doesn't exist yet. So, like, I don't know where this is going to go, but maybe in 2 weeks it'll be in my Zoom show. Maybe it'll get thrown out, you know, but the idea is, like, you got to follow your gut. Like, when you see something that inspires you, chase after it, even if you don't know how to make it yet. Just there's a reason you're feeling that kind of thing, you know? So yeah, this is what I got going on.
If you learn magic out of a book, you always give it your own twist or whatever. But if you watch like a DVD, sometimes you can fall into a kind of a cloning of that performer or whatever. Yeah. And with stuff that you make yourself and you create yourself, and in my case, like escapes and stuff and different ideas, you can take little ideas and, like, almost like you said, like playing an instrument, you've got all the chords, but it's up to you to make, you know, the full, you know, the tempo and everything else to make it unique and to you. So yeah, I mean, it's very cool to kind of dabble into different art forms to make your own art stronger.
Definitely, 100%. And, like, you know, it's a struggle too, because, like, you don't want to copy directly. It's a balance, you know. So you constantly tinker and twist and tweak, and then, you know, you hope that you create some type of signature thing that, like, people remember, you know. But right now, for me, with my Zoom shows, I'm just trying to you know, get the laughs, you know, show a little magic. And then what's my ending? What's my takeaway? Like, something that just, like, they leave with, where they maybe make something at home, you know, whether it's with cardboard or tape or, you know, some type of, you know, so that's the format. And I know a lot of magicians, you know, that are watching and listening here. We're all, like, right now in this weird time warp thing, you know, like, trying to reinvent ourselves. But that's what's exciting, man. You know, it's like, there's, like, this theater is being evolved in a new direction that's never been evolved before, you know, and we have to take a step back and appreciate that.
And now some props that you bought that you were like, I'm never going to use this. You'd be like, okay, it didn't suit me on stage or it didn't suit me close up, but it does work in Zoom or whatever, you know, so it's nice.
Exactly. So I was in England for South Tyneside Magic Festival, and you know the magician Olmec? I don't know if you know Olmec. Dude, he's, like, crazy genius legend. He gave me one of these little suitcases, and I thought nothing of it. I was like, thanks, Olmec. You know, I put it away. Dude, this is the opening of my Zoom show. This is the most important little suitcase right now. You know, so, like, you just don't know, you know, so, like, you got to use what you have, kind of thing. So I always shout out Olmec and thank him for the opening of my show. Because now, look, this little suitcase on a Zoom screen becomes a stage piece. Like, look at that, you know, like, right away. I mean, look, like, it's like a real suitcase. You see the clips opening, you know, like, see anything in there? Look at
that. That's so clever.
I suppose being a creative type magician as well, and you're always creating stuff, you obviously, like, don't throw away anything. Because, I mean, I have a habit of just having random stuff everywhere, and my girlfriend's like, I'd be like, you can touch that matchbox, you can throw that in the bin, but you can't throw that one in the bin. And it just becomes one of those weird things. Now she's kind of scared to touch anything.
Yeah, right. Dude, we're totally alike, man. I mean, look at me. I got like a used jumbo toothbrush, you know, like that I use every show now. You know, I've had that for like 10 years. I don't know.
How much did you have to change from your like stage show for a live audience to Zoom? Because I know that's a transition that a lot of performers that are actual stage performers initially, because I think close-up guys or guys that are more used to that kind of stuff can maybe transition a bit quicker. But if you're used to being on stage in front of a live audience, well, then it's a big jump.
Yeah, you said it, Steve. It's a big jump. And like the first 3 weeks definitely sucked, you know, like I was March, you know, that month of March. So what did I do? I refused to do any magic online. So I grabbed my guitar and I went to Facebook Live. I told parents and kids to watch. Kids were commenting funny words, and I just did a punk rock dance party on Facebook Live. And I had no idea who was watching. It was only 15 minutes. I don't have that many followers on Facebook, you know. But anyway, from that little 15-minute Zoom thing, two national companies contacted me, and they're what kept my house afloat, our business, our car payments. That week they hired me. And if I never did that, I don't know what would have happened, you know? So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to go with your gut, because I could have went with just the magic like I normally do, but in my gut, I was like, I don't feel like it, you know? Like, so I grabbed the guitar, and it was a blessing. So now my guitar is in my show, every Zoom show. We do dance parties with the kids. We rock out punk rock style, air guitar fun. Now when we go back to live again, I don't know. I kind of want to bring the guitar, you know? So my show has to change, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Man, bring the guitar. Rock on always.
Yeah, definitely rock on. It'll be it'll go full rock show at the end. There'll be no magic. It'll just be kid rock star. And just,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
You've got to make a robot that can play the guitar. There's one.
Yes, that's right. I need some type of like headbanging robot or something that comes out.
Definitely. One thing someone sent to us beforehand, Daniel asked us, what outside of magic inspires your creativity? You mentioned some artists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What sort of names jump into your mind?
Yeah. You know, Alexander Calder. You know, look up Calder Circus on YouTube. You know, his art and the simplicity of his sculptures are powerful. You know, look up Andy Warhol. You know, the idea of taking brands that everyone is familiar with and creating art with that so that the whole world connects with you now and the brand. You know, you're piggybacking on things that we're all familiar with. It's a powerful tool of how to become recognized, you know? So check out Andy Warhol, Alexander Calder. And if you check out makezine.com, that's Make Magazine. That's how I got into robotics, you know? So makezine.com always updates with articles about makers around the world that are making clever things. What's so exciting is that manufacturing has come to the home. You know, we can buy a 3D printer for $200, you know, a CNC machine, a laser engraver, you know. So that kind of stuff, the sooner you get into it, the better. I have a kit. It's called the Chomper Bot. It's on makershed.com. It's a box robot magic trick for kids and adults. But that's how if you want to get into Arduino, you know, it comes with it, with the servos, exactly what I do in my show. I'm shamelessly plugging, but I'm trying to say that the reason why I'm plugging it in is because you're never too old to get into this, okay? Yeah. And I've had people write me that are in their 70s, late 70s, for the first time programming, you know, and the excitement they had of watching this thing chomp, you know? So I'm just saying, this is just another tool you can add to your tool shed when you start creating.
Definitely. That's definitely, and I think that answers the second question we got sent in, which was, do you have any online resource for robotics you would recommend?
Yeah. So if you have a pen and paper, if you want to comment, check out sparkfun.com. Check out adafruit.com, adafruit.com. That's where I buy all my electronics. These are all DIY electronic component kits that you can put together at home and start building things that move, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure with like very unique props and things that you've made, have magicians approached you to make stuff for their shows or for TV or anything like that?
All the time.
I knew that answer. I knew the answer before I asked it.
I don't. The problem is, Steve, I got burned. I got burned early on where I made stuff, and I'm great at making stuff. You know, like this is awesome. But what people don't know is that 3 days a week I'm repairing stuff. You know, so like, I'm like the prototype king. Like I can make a killer prototype, but as a product where someone else is going to use, I've gotten myself in a mess where like I had to repair. So right now, the thing that I do is I will totally help you build something. I will give you the set list of what to buy. I'll even FaceTime you if I know you, and we'll build it together. And I've done that for like 3 or 4 magicians this year where they never got into robotics, and we built it together online with Zoom. And it was so much more rewarding, you know, and that's like kind of the spirit of the whole thing anyway, you know? Yeah.
You value something a lot more as well if you actually, it's like a skill-based thing. If you actually learn how to do it instead of buying a gimmick that's going to do it for you, you know, you're going to have a way more respect for that prop or that effect or that piece will become a signature piece because you put the blood, sweat, and tears into it.
But exactly, Steve. And you know that. You do that. You know, that's the same idea. Like, you know, that's the goal, is the appreciation of your props, you know, the appreciation of everything. So this shirt, I've been wearing it for 5 days. It stinks, but I don't care because I'm on Zoom and it's what I love. And the position of this is perfect. And there's a reason, you know, so I'm just saying that, like, yeah, I'm saying exactly what you're saying. It's just important to do what you love and make it yourself in some sense, or have some touch of it from yourself so that you appreciate it, you know, 100%.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I definitely think everybody falls into that trap of like, I always used to think I would be dark and mysterious on stage. And now I'm like, realize that I'm actually quite camp on stage. So it didn't really work out that well. So it is about just being yourself. And also, yeah. I think the thing with kids performing, because when I first met my wife, she was like, you should do more kids parties. And then we were at a wedding and there was a kids magician so that we know who's really good. And I was like, yeah, we watch this show. And afterwards she went, yeah, you can't do that. So I think
you know, it's a great story. You got to know your limitations. And that's like me. Like, I still try to do shows with all adult audiences, and I still relearn the same lesson. Like you just got to know what you're good at, you know, and accept what you're not good at, you know, because you know, you don't, and that makes sense, David. I totally respond to that 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
So you mentioned some of the creations. What's your favorite thing you ever created? I know it's probably, is it the monkey that you designed?
Yeah. I mean, I love Marcel because the monkey I built was the first real robot creation where I could walk away from it and it does something. And what's so cool about Marcel is that it doesn't do a single magic trick. It's just a monkey trying to put a ball in a little can, you know? So it's 3 minutes of theater, 3 minutes of me suffering on stage, trying to sell this inanimate object, you know? And so it's kind of like you know, do you guys have routines like that where you have to work extra hard to sell it, but you kind of need that so that to make it exciting for you, you know?
Yeah. Escapology, man.
Definitely. There's like our little babies that we love, and the audience, we know they will love us, but they just have to come with us to get there.
you gotta climb a little extra, you know, to get there. Yeah,
very cool. And when you're deciding like between the robotics of it and the magic trick, where do you dig into the classics, like thinking chop cup and thinking all those things, and then working backwards, or are you thinking robot first and then what trick can I add to this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, and I bet you guys have the same answer, both of you guys. I have to find the ending first. You know, if I can think of a powerful ending of a trick or routine, and then I know I'm golden. You know, I've wasted a lot of time building something that I thought was cool, and then I didn't have the proper ending ever. You know, but then goes to show, you know, something like this, I don't have an ending yet. But I don't care because, you know, my show's not dependent on it. So I can have fun, you know, so there's that too. But definitely that gut feeling thing, like when you see something that you know is a fresh idea, if you mix something together, you know, you start tinkering, you know. But yeah, so Marcel is an evolution of that, you know, the idea of the the street performer with the crank organ and the monkey, that kind of thing always inspired me, you know, and the lamp, you know, the little lamp I have in my penguin lecture, it's a robot lamp. That's inspired by like Pixar, you know, the Pixar lamp, you know, same idea. Funny story with the lamp. During the routine, I don't know if you saw it, but the light switch, the lamp turns itself back on, you know, during the show, and I turn the switch off. Like, that was the reason I built it, because when I saw that bit on a YouTube video from some engineer who's not a performer, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a performance piece. You know, that's not a thesis. That's not a, you know, ending to a college degree. This is, you know, so I took that and I ran with it. You know, I took that and ran with it. Yeah.
It's cool as well. It probably gives the kids this idea that, you know, when you go to bed at night and you turn off all the lights, maybe everything comes back alive by itself. It has that kind of weird mystery kind of feel, though. You start questioning, fucking the kettle is working by itself. What's going on, you know?
Yeah, that's the goal. And like, you know, Steve, honestly, like I spent so many years where like I was hoarding all my material and I'm like afraid of people copying, afraid of like all this stuff. This is the first year and a half where I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like life is short. Like, I'm going to put it out there. And it was scary at first, but now I don't even care. Like if this was 3 years ago, I would have never shown you guys this. I would have been like hiding it. Like, I don't know. I want it to be done. What if someone copies me? But now I'm realizing, like, the more I share stuff, the more there's room in my brain to create new stuff, you know, if that makes sense. It's like you hoard all these things and then you're not creating anything. And so it's this mantra that I've been just doing lately, you know, just kind of surrendering.
Definitely, man. I mean, people that are creative, it doesn't matter what you are, if it's a musician or whatever else, you just have to write this. I mean, Chris Martin from Coldplay said they write like 40, 50 songs a week. Nobody's ever going to hear them. They're shit. They're awful. Yeah. But he needs to get them out to find the good ones. And it's exactly what you've got to reach that creativity. It doesn't matter what way, because even with before the Zoom stuff, I was starting to do like more podcasts myself and interviews and stuff. And they were like, oh, would you like to perform something? And I was like, yeah, 100%. Because you just want to get it and move on, you know, so I totally.
No, it's true, man. 100% true. And like I talk about this in my Zoom show too. Like, this is the product on Friday, but I have a pile, dude. I have a pile. If you look at my Instagram story of just crap plastic that I've been printing all week, like all different size arms and stuff. Like, it was never working, man. And like by Thursday, I was pissed, you know, I was like, why do I feel so angry? You know, like, and I'm realizing I'm putting so many hours into this. But then I let it go. And then today, for some reason, this little guy on the back here is balancing everything out. It's starting to work. And it's so rewarding, man. You know, I think that's the goal of life, is to have the fruit of your labor, you know, to enjoy that fruit of your labor. And I'm glad I stuck it through. And I say that for the magicians that are staring at a pile of junk on the table right now, like, and they have a great idea and they can't accomplish it. You know, Thomas Edison always said, what you need to invent is just a pile of junk and a good imagination. That's what he said. You know, the dude invented the light bulb.
Yeah, very true.
It would be cool as well with that robot going across. Once you had the string out, I was immediately thought of cutting it in half, restoring it, and then have a robot to go across it to show that, like, it is.
Damn, David! I have to like pay you or something. Ouch!
That's an awesome idea.
And you can use the method for cutting the headphones as well as how you do it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God!
A little
that beats the shit on my applause card, Dave.
Yeah, with the applause card, he can carry the applause card to applaud you restoring the rope.
There you go.
And listen, you just brought up a great point of what's wrong with magic and the magic community. And I'll tell you what it is. We're so afraid to share our ideas. And I'm telling you, there's like certain countries that have better magicians than others because they share more, you know. Does that make sense? It's like there's, you know, like if we shared more, that's how we got on the moon, man. You know, it's like we had to like bring a team, you know.
Yeah, but I've realized that in the last couple of years working with Dave as well with some of the stunts. Like you can't do some of the big scale stuff that we do on your own. You could, but you'd be dead. You'd be fucked.
Yeah,
but you have to work with a crew. You've got to work with a team. I mean, I'd easily kill myself with some of the stupid shit that I do. So I need people to go, no, man, you can't do that. You have to do it this way.
Yeah.
So you have to have a team. You know, Martin Scorsese said that too, man. Martin Scorsese said, you don't need to be the best actor, the best videographer, the best editor to make the best movies. You just got to know them. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah. Well, that, you know, that, yeah, I mean, that's why you're great at what you do, you know, that's why you're great at what you do, Steve, you know, it's, yeah, you learn that lesson early on, you know, because
maybe, maybe.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, when you're coming up with stuff like the robot coming across and things like that, and you're talking about all the failed ones, is there anything that you worked on for so much that you just gave up on in the end?
Yeah. So, like 3 years ago, I love old Volkswagens. I have a Volkswagen bus. I built a Bradley GT. I don't know if you guys Google Bradley GT, it's a kit car for Volkswagen. And I snapped both these fingers. They got caught in the engine fan belt, and I had to get surgery. I was out for 3 months. Hand scary. I had to sell my kit car to pay the bills for my house because everything rides on our live performance, you know. But anyway, I built Mr. Table. I built this guy with one hand for 2 months. I built it with one hand, like everything, sanded this, all the robotics, the 3D design. And I had this big dream in my head. Like, this is going to be a big part of my show. It has wheels. So it was going to come on stage and deliver things, you know. Totally sucked on stage. It was terrible live. I spent like 5 shows trying to rewire it. Never worked well. Threw it under my bed. And now my first ever national published book, you know, has this on the cover. Every Zoom show, I use Mr. Table. It comes back, you know, it comes back. And someone told me that a long time ago. They said to me, whatever talents you learn in your life is never a wasted talent. There's going to be a time in your life where you're going to need it. Trust me. Like, it's going to be a time where it's going to come back to you and you're going to be grateful that you learned it. And that goes with like wood carving for me, programming, floral design. I was a florist. And I was on HGTV this year for a competition show for crafting. I'm a magician. But what did I do? I realized that my brand, my magic show, could be in a Christmas tree. It could be on a display of flowers. It could be on a tablescape. That was a big realization for me. It sounds stupid, but it actually expanded my mind a little bit, because I was like, damn, like, I'm limiting myself. If you have your philosophy and you know who you are and you know why you're here, then you can create more businesses than where you're at. So, and I'm not talking about business like making more money. I'm saying like freedom, that you have the freedom to get greater opportunities, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you lose that thing of being an artist if you're just in it for the money, because it just becomes about being in it for the money. And then with the money, you become an artist again. But if you lose your actual craft, you know, you might as well be wasting your time.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think we all relearn that. And I'm speaking that for myself too. Like, I've gone through seasons where I've had just amazing financial stuff, and then you get cocky, you know, you get arrogant, and then like then everything starts stinking again, you know, you get humbled, and then you try, you know, then you get back on rhythm.
Recently you did the Penguin Live lecture, which a lot of people might have seen on Penguin. How did that come about, and what was that experience like, filming all of that?
Yeah, so Penguin Live, they asked me to do a lecture, you know, and it was before COVID, you know, and we were mulling it over, and then COVID happened. And so it's like, you got to use what you have, you know? So we're stuck in the attic. We need money, you know, we're trying to figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do my lecture virtually. We went to Ohio, and it was amazing. Penguin treated us like family. Like Eric Tate with Penguin, the guy is so nice. Like, it was just a great time. And it was tough because there's no live audience. It was a new format for them too, where because of COVID and everything, we all had masks and shields. Dan Harlan was in a different room, you know, instead of being next to me. So like, it was a different format, but it was very, like I was saying earlier, there was something freeing about it. Just letting go of all my material, just let it go, you know, like, this is my show. I was honest. I said, don't copy this stuff. This stuff you can, but you know, this is why I do what I do. And we won Lecture of the Year, you know, it was really amazing. Like, I'm a children's performer, you know, that's so cool, you know? So that was an exciting thing, you know, that happened. And so it was a really cool time.
It is true though what you're saying about kind of because we're in a game of secrets. Our whole industry is based on secrets, a lifetime of secrets. And I mean, I know with modern day, everyone's exposing everything for the sake of it on TikTok and everywhere else. But I mean, that's not. I'd like to see the same guy do 2 hours on stage. He'd die on his ass in 10 seconds. So he does flip stick and then he's fucked. So curtain closed. We're done. But with that, that kind of giving away those secrets and giving away stuff, it does let more in. It definitely. I mean, I remember being on a masterclass for Paul Daniels years ago, and he would have been huge for us on this side of the world. And he said that he said take your best trick in your show, take it out, and don't put it back into the next show, and then take that next trick and put a new one in, and then take out that trick, and then take it out, and then keep taking out your best trick, and then at some point you'll have a show with all your best tricks. And now you've got a good show.
Wow. I've never heard that before. That's amazing.
Man. So if you've 6 tricks in your show and you do that 6 times, then you've got an unbelievable show, 6 shows down the road.
Yeah.
Wow. I never heard. Like Paul Daniels is legendary. It's a really great story. And it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And it's weird because I'm 41 and I feel like I'm learning how to do everything all over again, So like these things of like hoarding, and when I reveal stuff, I'm not revealing the core principles of magic. For me, my mission, my story is to say, hey, 3D printing changed my life. Microcontrollers changed my life. Programming changed my life because I can build whatever I imagine. And I show all the wires exposed for that reason. So it looks more homemade. So kids can feel confident in it. Same with the chomper bots, the same thing. Like this is it's only 2 little motors, you use duct tape, but then at the end, what happens is you learn a magic trick and it comes to life and you can break down the code on the computer and see why the numbers work they do and with the delays and the weights and so that's, when I start thinking of it like that, then I feel like I have more purpose when I'm on stage, and I feel more. We love when people are passionate about something. It doesn't matter what it is. We are forced to get excited. Okay, that's the lesson. Like I've watched someone talk about stage lights for 20 minutes. I was getting mad at him at this one theater, and after 20 minutes, I'm like standing next to him. I'm like, holy crap, those are really amazing stage lights. It's like it doesn't matter. Like we are addicted to passion. That's what makes us great. That's how we innovate.
Yeah. Definitely. And we're just coming up on 40 minutes there. So I'm going to ask you the question, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is basically a story about a performance or something where it started off good, went a bit bad, maybe ended a complete disaster.
Well, I do want to say that I heard the passing of David Roth, the legend, it's a heartbreaking thing because it happened last night. And, but man, what joy he's brought into the world, with all his coin work and the way he's changed lives to take something so simple as a coin, we're in a world of card guys, and this guy's standing with a coin, and he's doing the same impact with just a coin, So when I first got David Roth's books, like it was life-changing for me. And the reason why I bring it up is because every Zoom show now, one of the highlights of my show is the karate coin, and that was in his book, and where you take the coin, you toss it, and then you karate chop it, and it's on your finger. So anyway, it's been a staple. Like I told him years ago, how much that trick means to me and how much it's changed me in my show. And so anyway, I do have a bad and ugly version of it. It doesn't matter. It's still, in my show, but I did a kid's show, a birthday party, and I'm not lying. This was for Ragu, the tomato sauce company, like a really big sauce company. It was like for the CO and their kids, It was up on this high building in Manhattan, like 46th floor, And I'm in this living room, and here I am with all these kids, and these kids were terrible, man. They were like throwing stuff before I started, like I knew it was a mess. Like I took my tape out. I'm like putting it on the floor. This is the line. Long story short, I get up. And I have the karate coin. I'm so excited. Here's the moment. They're all going to pay attention. I throw it in the air. I don't catch it. I smack it. It goes into the audience. And there's a kid and it smacks him into the head, like just dead smack. Like it was like a heavy coin. And he goes like this, you know, and I'm just like, oh, and like, and there was like a red half moon like on his forehead. Like it was that bad, dude. I'm like, oh my God, like this is over. Like I'm screwed. This is so bad. And you could see him crying, like almost to cry, you know? And I forget his name, but right off the bat, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I need a helper right now. Someone who's excited. Someone, and, you know, and I see him, he's about to cry. And I just grab his hand. I'm like, come on up here, you know? And we did the sponge balls together. And, you know, all the sponges explode in his hand and he was laughing. And I sweated more that day, you know, in those 10 minutes. Like,
I love that, Mario. I need somebody semi-unconscious. I need somebody you.
So that's my good, the bad, and the ugly. And you know what? In heaven above, to David Roth, giant in our community, man. You know, thank you for all you do, David. I mean, just powerful performer. And talk about who you are and why are you here. He stuck to his guns, always being a center with a very specific kind of magic. And it was definitely inspired me.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely sending out our condolences to his family and as well for Siegfried, who died this week as well. So it's a tough week for Magic, but
that's right.
Definitely two icons in the business, definitely there. But yeah, and any advice for someone who wants to get into kids' Magic, don't throw coins at kids' heads.
Stay away from the karate coin. No, I'm kidding.
When you were mentioning that it was for Ragu, the company, when you were saying the kids were like throwing stuff around the place, I just imagine them like throwing jars of tomato sauce at you and tomatoes and whatever. I was like, this is going to be
it felt like that. It definitely was like, there's, you know, when there's man, when you do this full time, there's going to be gigs where there's only 5 people there, you know, and you just, you know, it's humbling, you know. So that was definitely one of those days where, like, I was definitely humble.
Yeah, and somebody's in the comments just says Mario. So,
oh, great, amazing! What's up, dude? He's a great magician. That's awesome. Nice to see you on here.
And just before we finish up, I think a question that a lot of people might have in their heads, as someone who travels around with the delicate robots, do you have any tips for transporting them so they don't end up in bits by the time you get to your venue?
Yep, there's definitely an art form to packing stuff. I use a lot of foam, man. Like I have custom cut foam everywhere and things break. And on another podcast we could talk about, I have a maker space in a backpack, meaning every single tool I need I could set up on a hotel desk. Soldering iron, everything, like even 3D printer that I have that's portable. I have it down to a science. So because I've broken so much crap, you know, just, you know how it is. You guys, Steve, you know, you tore, you know, it's like crazy, you know. So
when we had Bizarro was on with us there before, around Halloween, and he said the same thing. Like he can fix anything with a glue gun and duct tape.
Yeah, I'm with Bizarro. He knows. The dude knows. He's a true maker. That guy's awesome.
Absolutely. That's the advice, and that's another reason why you should learn to build the stuff yourself, because then you can fix it yourself.
Boom.
And that's very important.
Nailed it.
We've all had gimmicks break on us, especially right before a show.
when you're mid, I mean, I kind of, if there's a certain gimmick I always use, I always buy like 2 or 3 of them. And then when you're busy, I used to have like 3. A tip for anyone that buy 3 props that you're using all the time. If you're going to use them, if it's part of your set, buy loads of them. I used to buy like 3 briefcases, so I wouldn't even have to reset for the next one. I just grab another briefcase and I'm into my next show. And then you can reset when you go home, and it's, you know, and it's kind of fun just to reset, because as you reset, you might come up with something new.
Yeah, that's genius, Steve. Dude, that's such a good idea. Have a second. It's already reset, done, boom. Because that's my struggle, man. Like for me as a performer, dude, I can set up in 10 minutes a big stage show. It takes me 3 hours to clean up, you know? So, that's my problem.
Yeah. Chaos, man, on stage.
Absolutely. So I just like to say thanks to Mario for being here, and we really appreciate you coming in. And just one question there again came in from Grey Amazing. To all 3 of you, one word for this new year 2021. So that's a good thing to finish up on. I guess I'll go first. Vaccine. That's my one word.
Good one. That's a good one. I would say flexibility.
Definitely.
And creativity.
Boom.
Boom. Vaccine, flexibility, and creativity. That's the way to go. Again, thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Mario. And do you want to promote anything while you're here? People can follow you on social media and all that stuff.
Yeah, Mario the Magician, MarioTheMagician.com. This is my first ever book. I've never had a book in my life. All my best lesson plans for kids, I use them in Zoom, are in this book. MarioTheMagician.com, you can get that. The Chomper Bot kit is on there, so you'll see all the robots. If you ever want to get into robotics, we have kits and stuff. And also just a big thank you, man. Thank you to both you guys for having me. It's an honor to be with you guys. You know, I just had a great time.
So good, man. And thanks so much. And we'll definitely have you back on again, whatever you want to talk about, whenever.
Oh, awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks so much, guys. You can follow us at Deceive Reality and DeceiveRealityIreland.com and all that good stuff. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you again next week. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck.